Continuing on with the issue of gay marriage, and the two main points being the rights of inheritance and the issue of children. And for gay marriage and heterosexual marriage to be equal, both would have to be governed in the same manner regarding both inheritance and children. Whereas heterosexual marriage has children who come about biologically from that couple, and gay marriage would for the most part be about adopted children, although some lesbians can have children, but the father may or may not know that these children exist and may be subject to, or his will in the event of death may be subject to challenge by children he had no knowledge of. So to put heterosexual and gay marriage on an even level can only be done legally. That means abolishing all assumed rights in regards to children and inheritance, which then falls into the hands of the state. Now, if there was a guaranteed, unbiased judgment in these matters, that might be okay. But when you're dealing with the magistrates and judges in Australia and in the particular states, because although marriage is administered federally, it is still subject to prior administration by the states. So the states handle the responsibility of administration of marriages and divorce. Like in New South Wales, we have the Department of Marriages, Births and Deaths. So you've got one department which in theory should be able to govern all this, but I don't know if they actually have the mechanics to do so. So it is an issue which, as of the current time, cannot be guaranteed to be administered fairly or unbiasedly, as the independence of the judiciary. You might have, let's say, you want to go for a divorce, and as a lot of men complain that the judges often give verdicts in favour of the women, so you not only have the property but also from there go into the man's private holdings, things that should not be subject to judicial review or disbursement. So, if you were to ask me what would be the best alternative to all this, because as I said, when the state becomes the sole administrator of the issue of marriages, birth, children and inheritance, then you've got what Karl Marx wanted. So myself, if we look at the issue of prenuptial arrangements before marriage, they are legal documents, but yet they can still be subject to challenge. So you may have a legal document, but it's not guaranteed. And let's say you could have a mixed race marriage between a white and a non-white. The judge will usually grant his favour to the non-white. as I said, these people in the judiciary are patricians, and they want to basically cut the middle class and downwards white race out of society, because they want to re-establish themselves as in ancient Egypt and pose as gods. And this is a fact. This is what these people do. You know, you look at some of the decisions in court cases, which defy the laws of logic. You know, someone might make a decision in one particular court case, then that court case gets appealed and taken up to a higher court, and so on. So we have to look at a provision that's completely independent of all of this. But now you've got politicians wanting to interfere in the likes of gay marriage, and celebrities. You know, and here is a subject I'll bring up. You know, I've heard people say, well, gay lifestyle is a choice, or being gay is a choice. I believe in a very, very small percentage of gays. They are inclined that way, usually due to hormonal influences and of their DNA. That's the way they are. But also I find that a lot of people choose to have homosexual encounters because it's fashionable. The celebrities say it's okay, so it's okay, we should do it. Type of psychological condition, and if you choose to follow a particular psychology or behaviour resulting from that, then that is a choice. It's, you know, some people say, oh, you're just homophobic, blah, 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 blah. But no, it's either biological or it's a choice. Now, let's bring into that the issue of pedophiles. Are they biologically inclined to molest children, or were they somehow brought into this behaviour psychologically, whether it be through being victims of child abuse when they were children, or they just like doing that sort of thing? And this is where government fails, because it tries to regulate science where there should be no regulation. Biological should be a natural thing, not subject to political interpretation. As for the pedophiles, well, if they are naturally biologically inclined to molest children, then the only solution is a rope around their neck. If it's a psychological thing, well, possibly they could be treated and cured of such. But I find that the biological aspect of one's being will usually override some sort of psychological, I don't know, conditioning. And these things have to be decided. As for the issue of marriage, it should be a legal contract between two people which specifies what is involved and which should be subject or required to be renewed every year. So this could be done in front of an independent witness, such as the Justice of the Peace, along with the legal, representative of the couple or of both people in the marriage. Once a year, takes about 5-10 minutes. Just have a nominal fee for doing so. That would solve a lot, and it would keep the state and those who wish to have an interference in this out of the picture. But the way it's going now, with the state decides everything, that can only lead to a very bad ending. And once the state decides that for gay marriage and heterosexual marriage to be equal in regards to children, that means you would have to apply in order to have children, much like China with its one-child policy, which has largely been done away with because it's been violated so many times, and plus the fact they're buying up Australia, so they don't have to worry about that. But this is the sort of world we are leading to. And if, let's say, a license was required to have children, and you have a child regardless, that child becomes property of the state, as in all children that don't legally have parents. Well, guess who's waiting for that to happen? Pedophiles. Because it's their biological nature to do so, supposedly. So all these things have to be discussed out in the open, quite frankly. I think society can only be better as a result of it. And until this happens, I don't think anyone's really going to support gay marriage above all things, as it is touted by celebrities and politicians and those who can make a quick buck out of it. So that's my 2 cents worth.